or do you still enjoy doing as many gigs as you can?
Um, Live, yeah. I guess I haven't been get in Ireland. I found it difficult to get good slots, as it were. I mean, I
Mm.
did it. I enjoyed. I had a great gig supporting John Spillane in Macaulay Place in
Golly
Nice.
place,
That was one of the highlights, actually. And get out with friends like Ross Breen and Sive, who
yeah.
I'm sure your listeners would know.
Yeah.
And we together in the coffee roasters. Is that what it's called there in Nice as well?
Yeah, PS Coffee Roasters, I think, or is it
PS
PC? I think it's
Coffee
PS.
Roasters. Yeah, lovely, nice place. And so yeah, so that's been. Other than that, as a gigging musician, you do like there's certain gigs that have for us Gaeilge that I could do up in Donegal or in Belfast where they'd have me. And I did a lot of collaborations with other poets in
Yeah.
the Irish language, so
Yeah.
from around the country, like Gabriel Rosenstock, and so kind of there's a festival called the Imram Festival for any Gaelgars, and lots of haiku, as Gaelge, August, translations, and Biddy Jenkinson, who's an amazing writer in the Irish, performed or at events, and Louis Dupoir,
Yeah,
who's
I know that. Yeah.
a poet too, and plenty others. So that was another kind of thing. It was a shame you wouldn't get as many people as perhaps could
Yeah.
be coming to those. They were kind of more seen, I guess, artistic events or whatever, if you know what I mean.
And do you think that's been an issue a little bit with
I
with the Irish language and art in the Irish language, that people feel, well, I'm not going to get it, or I'm not going to understand it, or it's beyond me, or maybe I'll just make a fool of myself if I dip into it. Do you think people are afraid in some ways?
Maybe just the word doesn't get out, or it's kind of it can be tough for the internet's a great place, but kind of end up being bubbles. Not that it's all on the internet, but it's difficult to get the word out. It's not like the big
Mhm.
gigs that happen. You know what I mean? So I guess that's the nature of
Yeah.
arty gigs. That they're only that there's a slight exclusivity. It's a shame that there aren't more people coming. Some of them are bilingual events as well.
Yeah.
You'd have the poem in Irish and in English, and me singing the poem as well, and so
Yeah.
and with
Yeah, I feel that whenever I see you live and you do these little things where you have the Irish language in one verse and then followed by a verse in English, I feel you make it very accessible for people like myself who, we've been wishing, I've been wishing, I don't know, I think it's a combination of being a bit lazy and a bit not very good at learning languages, but I'm not a fluent Irish speaker, but I find it very accessible when you get a song like, say, O Roshel Vahawalia, sing the verse Oscuelga and then into a verse in English. I find it very helpful to really get to the heart of the song if you don't have the 100% Irish.
Yeah, that's interesting, because over here then I'm kind of thinking along the lines of, well, most people don't have any Gaelic at all.
Mm.
So I've been working on, like, getting some of the words of the song in English as a kind of an introduction, or I tend to waffle a bit between songs, but it is nice to have some introduction so people can get the context of what you're singing about in Gaelic. So
Yeah.
they're all skills to be worked on, and I guess I'm always working on those type of things to try and engage with audiences. But that's some of the Irish gigs, is that it's there aren't that many people who are very interested in coming to an all Irish gig, although around Leixlip and Selbridge there's a fair decent amount of Gaeilge.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
with
little
the
clubs around
Irish
Kildare that are
speaking
learning
schools and
Oscuelga. I
stuff.
know there's
So
one. Sorry, Enda. Can you hear me?
yeah, with the Irish speak schools, and I went to school in Cláshicillian in Clondalk, but there was always a good cohort coming in from Selbridge and Leixlip
Yeah.
as well.
I find myself sometimes very inspired when I'm outside of Ireland as regards writing songs and stuff. Do you find that you're you're writing more songs since you've gone to America, or has it made any difference to the amount of songs you've written since you went over there?
I've written a few songs, but I've had so many songs in the pipeline that I've been working on others as well. I've done a co-write with a friend over here, Kurt, and so Kurt
Good name.
Trammell is his name, and yeah, I mean we were working on a song about how it seems like there's only one crop, and how agriculture has changed, and he runs a diner. And he's very into the land and all. And I was thinking of my grandfather down in Mayo, farming and all this type of thing, and how, maybe what the ideal would be, but how things have gone and how industry is taken over and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's interesting to write with an American and to find a common ground. And, so stuff like that seems though I'm over here, that's the type of thing I want to be doing is.
And as regards doing live gigs, is that been something that's excited you since you've gone to America, or have you done much live stuff since you've gone over there? You're only over there a year or so, or 2 years, is it?
Yeah, well, I guess the thing about America is there's an Irish music industry here, which is its own thing, and there's a lot of trad. And it's kind of strange. So the difference between the way I've looked at things when I was in Ireland, it was like, okay, I'm a singer-songwriter. I do some folk stuff. I used to sing in Temple Bar and everything,
Yeah.
But coming over here then and going to some of the festivals, trying to engage with that world over here, it's kind of, it's making me see that, right, that's kind of something that defines me as opposed to any other singer-songwriter in the USA, is that I have this rich history of songs that are like a canon, and so in one way that's great, and I'm trying to re-engage with those elements as well and come up with interesting arrangements of those, in one sense because it's perhaps expected in those contexts, but in another way it's interesting, to think about it as a celebration as well.
I think like someone like yourself who's kind of dabbled in the folk scene to a certain extent and played the pub sessions, but you've also got this suitcase full of songs as well. When you go abroad, there's always that temptation to jump into the whole Irish music, Irish song thing, and wear the shamrock on your chest and stuff. But one thing I have noticed about yourself, Enda, is that you're not afraid to tackle them big Irish songs and maybe put your own slant on it or do it in your own style. Would that be something that you're interested in?
Yeah, how can, like, when you look at who has sung Danny Boy, it's like Elvis and Johnny Cash, and everyone's done a version of it, and you're kind of going, well, why shouldn't I do a version of it? Because in a sense there's a certain stigma that singer-songwriters in Ireland might have, I did, against songs like that, because you don't feel like it's actually Irish. It's American Irish. Actually, I think the lyrics are written by an Englishman, but again, that's the thing. I decided to start a podcast myself.
Podcast yourself. You're broadcasting your own podcast on my show. How dare you, Enda? What's the name of the podcast? We better hear that anyway.
It's called The Musical Pint.
Oh, lovely.
And so it's on Spotify, definitely, and I'm trying to make sure it's everywhere else, but it's definitely on the Spotify anyway.
Great.
So yeah, for that, I'm to be honest, I'm still finding out. I'm trying to find the how it's going to go for me. I did a whole one of the episodes on Sam Hall, that song.
Right,
and,
because there's an Irish version and an American version, isn't that it?
There's an American version, but it's originally an English song,
Really?
and so there's a couple of English versions as well, and so that was interesting, kind of, because I've sung that for years, but in a sense I don't think about where did it come from or anything like that. So and it still didn't find out everything I wanted to know. That they took me to Coot Hill in a cart. That was added in for the Irish version by somebody, but I couldn't find out. Who did it.
Really?
So that just shows you how things change as they move around. And,
that's interesting.
And that's It is, yeah. So that's it.
I
So I'm
mean,
just trying to learn as I go, and
yeah.
but that's the other thing. I don't, as you say, you don't want to just be a jukebox in the corner. You want to bring something of your own, and especially when I have a couple of hundred songs written, it's you know you want to interact with people with your own material too.
Sorry, and one of the songs that you wrote was a duet, wasn't it? That it got a bit of radio play there recently.
With Aoife Scott, is
With
it?
Eva Scott, that got a bit of radio play, didn't it?
Yeah, the main one there would have been All Along the Wild Atlantic Way.
That's right, yeah.
Which was counting down the days. When will you bring me my love? All along the wild Atlantic way. So that was one. Myself and Aoife, we wrote a good few for her first album.
Yeah.
So Aoife Scott is Francis Black's daughter, and
Yeah.
she's been performing out in America as well for years. And
I think she might have been in America when the whole COVID thing happened, if I'm right.
one of the many acts. I was going to go down to Nashville to meet them, and in fact, the Nashville festival got cancelled a week or two before COVID, or just as it was coming over here. But it was because of what are they called? Tornadoes or whatever.
Right.
Tornadoes hit Nashville. So, and then COVID came along. So, but anyway, that just scuppered a lot of people who were on tour over here. So, so I had been waiting for the green card, which is the permanent residence card.
Yeah.
So that's why for the last year I've kind of been in a bit of a waiting around until I got legal, as it were, and then I just got legal, and then there's no gigs to be had. So all my energy then now is kind of going in online and seeing what connections I can make and all that type of thing.
And is there an album coming up apart from the live streaming album?
Well, there's definitely a few releases going to be happening. I've got a lot of stuff that's on Bandcamp only. And I think what I'm going to do is to release some of that to Spotify, because that's where most of the listeners are, I guess. So my W.B. Yeats album is not on Spotify yet. So I think I'm going to make a bit of noise about that. And last year, about 9 months ago, I recorded an album of lullabies, which are just a cappella, because I was just kind of going, right, there's kids there, they're only a few months old or whatever, and they're trying to get to sleep. What's the best way to write a song for for those, or to sing a song, and it's
great,
all
man.
These great melodies.
Big market for that.
Well, we'll say I'm not. I wasn't even thinking that it was my sister-in-law had asked, and a few other people had said it. So we'll see. I'll see about getting that out to everybody as well. And other than that, I do have a lot of songs I'm working on, and I'm working on my guitar skills, and hopefully I feel like I'm getting somewhere with actually getting better at the guitar too. And so,
I mean, you've really shocked me, Enda, how poor you are on the guitar in the last few years, Like, folks, anyone that's seen Enda live will testify how great he is on the guitar. So I'm joking, of course. He's a fantastic guitar player and a very unique guitar player. And did you do a whole album on the global warming stuff, or was it just a few songs scattered around your albums? Or
well, the way I've been working on some of on that particular album, I guess you can call it an album. It's on my Bandcamp page, Enda Reilly. On Bandcamp, and is as I wrote them, I was adding them to it. So there's probably 16 or 17 songs up there, and there's a Gaeilge version as well, because for a good few years in Ireland, all around Kildare and Dublin, and a couple of other counties in Leinster, I was delighted that I was part of a scheme called the LA21, the Local Agenda 21, which was funding going for climate change,
right,
and awareness and biodiversity awareness and things like that. So, so what I was doing was, through the medium of music, singing songs and discussing the science behind climate change. And what people could do. And so I kind of had a green energy one I was doing, a biodiversity, and also
a lot of that was done in the libraries as well, is that right?
Yeah, actually in Kildare, actually especially, they were in the libraries. Yes, yeah. That was unique in general to Kildare, I think, because
Yeah.
yeah, it was nice to have the library. So the kids would come into the library, and I would go to